From ClarkWoods.com, this is Horribly Off Topic, episode number 229. I'm Chris.
I can't believe... Well, I'm Steve.
You can't believe that I'm Chris.
I can't believe you're Chris. I can't believe that we're almost at 230 episodes.
What is there a landmark that I'm not aware of?
Landmark Video?
I'm aware of that. I was writing about them while I was revising a chapter that involved Landmark Video last week.
Is it set in the 80s?
Yes.
Okay.
Set in the 80s, involving a brother and a sister.
Wanting to get Sega tapes?
No, they are in there picking out their videos while their dad is over in the other section picking out his videos, and they don't realize at the time what dad is doing. But they eventually figured it out.
I've said this on the show before, but it hasn't been in a while. Like the a place that we enjoy going. You and I both. I'm saying, is Fun Spot.
Fun Spot, not Landmark Video.
No, not Landmark Video. I don't imagine they've been open since probably the late or early 90s. I'd imagine. I don't think they.
I'm curious what's there.
I don't imagine because it was a local video store. So
it was
a lot of those got put out of business by Blockbuster, which got put out of business by Netflix, except for the one in Oregon, I think is the one that's left. Across the street from Fun Spot, there's Jolly Jay's Joke Shop, and I remember always wanting to go in there because that's just the kind of place that a kid would want to go into. Right. A joke shop. Why the fuck wouldn't you let me go in there, Pop?
Oh boy.
Because it was a porn store in the back.
Now, that seems like a peculiarly late 70s, 80s, in maybe even into early 90s kind of thing. That feels like a thing of a bygone era, the joke shop / porno shop.
I don't know if that I've ever heard of another one.
Well, the Tower News in Lowell, which we have talked about.
But that is a convenience store and a porn store.
Okay, so not quite as weird. But I remember I don't think they were attached, but so I used to work on Boylston Street, right on the Common, in the early late 90s, so the early 2000s. And as we've talked about, I would venture over into what was then known as the Combat Zone. And on the way into which was the red light district in Boston at the time.
Which is now gone. If you guys are chubby and you want to do something with it in downtown Boston, I think there's one or two strip clubs, I think there's nothing much left.
Tucked between there and the theater, the Wang Center part of the theater district. There might be down Sound Street.
So it's not. It has nothing to do with penis. It is a theater.
Yes, yeah. Yes. It is the Bach Wang Theater, I think.
Gosh.
Yeah. So it has nothing to do with Ernie Bach's penis either.
Or his chicken.
No. But I remember walking from my office on Boylston Street on my lunch break, and I'd walk down whatever street it is that leads towards Chinatown and the Combat Zone, and there was a joke shop. And of course, I never went into the joke shop because I was heading for the porno shop. With the nudie
Let me take you to the porno shop. I wouldn't lick anything in that place, though.
No. Oh my gosh. So I was writing about Landmark Video last week.
Cool.
Yeah. Not about any of the. I think I used to.
What videos did the kids pick out? Like what normal tapes did
they were choosing? I think because we're in the perspective of the girl, and I know this is normative, but she was looking for like She-Ra and My Little Pony and crap like that.
Did they have like VHS of those?
I feel like they did. They had something, or maybe she was looking for She-Ra. I don't know. Did I say She-Ra?
You said She-Ra.
Okay. She was looking for.
Why didn't you just look at Netflix then?
It was the 80s, Steve. She didn't have Netflix.
Oh, okay.
I had to go to the video store,
or just turn on the television.
Yeah. But I was writing. I mean, I was writing from a personal experience, which we've talked about in the past, where my dad would have me and my brother on the weekends while my mom was working her department store job, and we would go
At the Caldor?
I don't know if it was the Caldor locally or if it was one of the ones where later in her career at Caldor, she was the assistant. I always said, because my perspective was she was the assistant director, assistant manager who would get sent wherever there was a store that was foundering. And so she'd get sent there to, whip them into shape.
Yeah, and then at the end, she couldn't go to all the stores.
No, she could not. So my dad would take us to the video store, and my recollection is we would go. I might look for Transformers. My brother might look for He-Man. Whatever we'd look for.
What was She-Ra? Did She-Ra have like a catchphrase? Because I remember He-Man was "I have the power."
Yeah. Well,
but what was fucking She-Ra's?
It was so. He-Man's was
because I didn't watch She-Ra.
Okay, He-Man's was
me
something
being heteronormative when I was a child.
Was it for the power of I don't know. But She-Ra's was a twist on that. It was for the honor of Grayskull.
Okay, but did she have like a thing when she turned from like the Princess of Eternia to
Allura? I don't
She-Ra?
know.
Did she have like a
pushing up against my She-Ra, the limits of my She-Ra knowledge here?
With the power of the moon. No, that was Sailor Moon.
By the honor, no, was it by the honor of Grayskull? By the honor of Grayskull, something. I am
what?
Yeah,
that was my Skeletor.
Yeah,
hold on, I need to work on what. There we go. That's better.
You got a Beastman?
How does Beastman?
I don't know. Yeah, I remember He-Man was my brother's thing and your thing. I was not allowed to like He-Man.
I didn't necessarily like. I wasn't super. I had an action figure and I'd occasionally watch it. But.
There were,
but Skeletor was the fucking best.
Skeletor was the best.
He was the best part. Like it's bad when like the villain is the best part because like then you're teaching kids that it's cool to be the villain, aren't you?
Isn't it cool to be the villain? I mean, what did Skeletor do that was so bad? I mean, let's maybe rehabilitate the image of Skeletor.
I don't remember what fucking Skeletor. Like he was just trying to kill He-Man, I guess, which is bad. The Prince of Eternia.
Yeah. So, for the honor of Grayskull is her catchphrase.
What does she say when she transforms?
No, that's what she says. By repeating, "For the honor of Grayskull," she is transformed into the heroine She-Ra. She then releases this is when she first appears. Releases a captured He-Man and jumps from a window, crashing into the Horde stables. Lands atop Spirit, who is transformed into Swiftwind, a talking unicorn.
What?
Yeah. So she.
Is this in the original, not the remake?
Adora. I screwed up. Yes, not Allura, Adora. What? So she's Adora, the twin of Adam.
Okay.
AKA He-Man.
He-Man.
It's his twin sister.
And he's got Battle Cat. And what was the fucking thing called before he?
Cringer.
Cringer.
That just happened to be right here.
What?
So
He-Man.
He-Man is Skeletor. Let's find out about Skeletor. I would like to know. He is a fictional character and the main antagonist.
What? He's not a real person?
Depicted as a muscular blue humanoid with a purple hood over his yellow bare-bone skull.
The reason why he's a muscular humanoid is because like they didn't want to.
That's all they could
change the body. Like I watched that documentary on Netflix about like the toys that made us.
Oh, really?
And He-Man was on there, and it was basically they just took He-Man's body and put like different color and just put like a skull head on it, and then there's Skeletor. I mean the what was it, the Moss Man and Beast Man or other things. I imagine they had to do a little bit more than just like palette swap.
So it says Skeletor seeks to conquer Castle Grayskull so he can obtain its ancient secrets, which would make him unstoppable and enable him to conquer and rule the fictional world of Eternia. However, the incompetence of his henchmen is always an impediment to achieving his ambition.
You numbskulls!
In the 2002 series, Skeletor was once a man named Keldor.
Keldor?
Keldor. Somehow that has to turn into the title. Whose face was accidentally splashed with acid. He survived, but it cost him his rugged good looks and his entire face.
Wow. I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I just want Skeletor to just be a weird skeleton man. Although it's been a while since I've seen the movie.
Yeah.
With Dolph Lundgren as He-Man
and Frank Langella as Skeletor, I believe.
Yeah, like frickin'
Alan Oppenheimer provided the original voice for Skeletor.
What?
Alan Oppenheimer. Yeah. Wait a minute. Skeletor appeared in 71 of the 130 episodes of the 1980s He-Man cartoon.
What the fuck was he doing the other, like, what was He-Man doing the other 30 episodes?
Not 30, the other other 59 episodes.
Sorry, I did my math wrong.
Yeah, well,
I heard 100, and so you said 70.
He was in 71 of the 130. Okay.
And there was the Skeletor went on vacation season.
I guess so.
Or two seasons.
There were only 2 seasons of the show.
How the fuck were there that many episodes?
There were 130 episodes. Yeah, I don't know.
Like, even if you, like, double it, like, 52 weeks, that... Oh, wait, maybe it was on every day.
It could have been. I don't know. And
how do you fucking animate that many fucking... Well, One Piece.
Yep.
But that's on once a week, not once a fucking
I don't know.
day.
Well, you know what I've been playing with 3D with
besides yourself.
Besides myself, I've been playing with digital art and getting. I mean, I'm mostly working with still stuff, but you can start to understand these days how somebody might pump out episode after episode after episode.
I mean, the guys that
if they have the right assets and enough computer power. Like, so I've got the assets and the computer power to output still images.
You bonehead McFly! Those things don't work on water.
I was trying to show Melody the first one. This
first
weekend.
Back to the Future, like hey Melody, you want to see this fun movie about incest?
That was not what my point was. I had been writing, and she and I were home alone on Saturday, and I'm writing about time travel, and so somehow time travel or something came up, and I was like, "Hey, Melody, come see this," and so or actually, maybe
when this thing hits 88 miles an hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Well, so I think maybe I had started watching it to try and wind down from work, my morning work, and just start to relax and be a human being. And I think she came in, and I was like, Melody, look at this. See all the food for the dog? And see, he made a robot, and she was intrigued by the robot at first, because the opening shots are of all of the robots and automations that Doc Brown has done.
Yeah, and all the clocks he has.
Yeah, and so she walked in right.
They're all exactly 20 minutes slow.
She walked in at exactly the moment when, like, you get to see the cool robot dog can opener, and I was like, yeah, but watch this, and then it tips over and it slops down onto it, and I think that level of grossness was just the right level of grossness to intrigue her, and we sat there and watched the first 20 minutes or so until Stephanie came home, and I went down to help with, I don't know if it was groceries or what it was, and while I was gone must have been when Doc Brown gets, spoilers for a movie from 30-something years ago.
Fuck you if you haven't seen it.
When Doc Brown gets shot, and so by the time I came back upstairs, Melody was not watching anymore, and I've seen it a million times, as you have, because we can repeat almost the entire thing.
I mean, I've seen that movie, Ghostbusters, and I think Pee-wee's Big Adventure were the biggies that I watched, like live action movies that I watched a lot when I was a kid. Like from like maybe 6, 7 on.
I wonder if my brother would say the same. Mine are different, and so I wonder if it's a generational thing or just like me and my brother and our family watched something different than you did.
Yeah.
Because I would say Back to the Future is definitely up there, but I've only seen Ghostbusters a small fraction of the number of times that
Well,
I've
we
seen.
taped all of them off of HBO. So
Yeah.
like when they premiered on, because like I think we had HBO for a while, and then like we taped those movies
Yeah.
off of there, and then we got rid of it. So those were that
Right.
was what I
That's
that
what
I
you could
that's what I
watch.
could watch.
Well, and Pee-wee's, I think I could less than a handful of times I've seen Pee-wee's, but
That's when I was like, ooh. Well, I wasn't aware of directors at that point, but
Mm-hmm.
but when I became aware, I think was of Tim Burton and kind of directors actually. So like it's weird to think about, but like watching
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Beetlejuice.
that's a good point. Like, and you'd say Burton is the first director that you kind of became
Aware of. Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe wasn't it Bob Zemeckis that
Yeah,
or was he did he produce Back to the Future?
No, Bob. I think Zemeckis did all three. Spielberg produced.
Okay.
At least the first.
And
one.
then
Zemeckis
I think
directed.
Zemeckis was and Spielberg were heavily involved in Roger Rabbit, so I think I became aware of them at around
Yeah.
the same time.
Well,
because like Roger Rabbit and Beetlejuice were around the same time too, and that was when I was sort of old enough to know shit like that.
Right, you were starting to be. So that's like 88, 89.
Yeah, so it was like 9 or 10, something like that.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I was having this conversation with somebody today that my daughters are starting to be aware of pop culture outside of me. And I thought it was more of a modern day thing because they have the internet. But yeah, I'm realizing I probably similar things in terms of I remember seeing whether it was on HBO or where it was, making of stuff about Back to the Future 2 and 3, which, introduced me to the idea, people direct movies. Like that's a thing that they do.
Yeah.
So I think it probably was very similar. I mean, George Lucas.
Here's the weird thing. I didn't really watch Star Wars until like I think because we had Return of the Jedi on tape, but I never really liked watching it.
Yeah.
Like when I was younger, like, and out of the three of the original, I think it's the weakest.
Yeah.
So of the three to have and just be like completely unaware of the rest of the story, I think I'm like, why is this happening? Like I had never seen the original, but I had been spoiled on everything that had happened up until that point. So like by the time I actually did see like all of Star Wars, like which was I think maybe like late middle school, early high school or something like that. I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that was. But like, I was like, okay, that's better. Like, I liked Return of the Jedi better because I knew what the fuck was happening.
Yeah.
Why are they going into this place? Why is Han in that thing?
Yeah.
Why is that blue elephant playing the piano?
It doesn't really handhold you. It has the crawl, but even the crawl doesn't really handhold you in terms of telling you who these people are and why they matter.
Yeah, and it like at the age when we had it on tape or when we got it on tape, like we might have missed the crawl or I was just one of the I probably just
it's
glazed
words.
over what the fuck it's saying because I'm a little kid and I want to read.
Yeah. But I say Lucas, and even as I say that,
Lucas only directed the first one.
Right. I think I was aware that Lucas was a force behind all of them, but I didn't quite understand that Lucas didn't direct the second two. And I had a similar misunderstanding. It was a misunderstanding that led to me trying to understand with the Indiana Jones movies. It's like I knew... Well, I learned what a director was, and then both Steven Spielberg and George Lucas were working on Indiana Jones, and so something in my little brain was like, wait, what? Like, I don't... And so I think that led to me trying to understand, Spielberg directs, Lucas writes in this case.
Yeah, because he's such an amazing writer.
Yeah. Well, how do we get so horribly off topic?
I don't know, but we were talking about movies. Do you want to actually just do a seamless segue?
We could do a seamless segue into a movie that's not set in the 80s, but set in the 1990s. Well,
it is set in the 90s.
There are some 80s scenes.
Living in the 90s. Oh wait, heading for the 90s. Living in the Wild Wild West.
Are we far enough removed from the film that we can talk about it openly, or do we want
do you want to put something in the notes where, like, if we do talk spoilers, so that we finish the conversation at approximately time o'clock?
I mean, I could try. So right now, okay, so we're gonna talk about Captain Marvel. It is approximately 20 minutes right now, and I will make a note.
No, but like when we get to a point where we talk about spoiler stuff, then we'll say spoiler time.
Maybe there's somebody who doesn't want to hear about it at all. So I'm going to say from right now, I'll put a note in the show notes that says from 20 minutes until whenever we stop.
If we talk about it for the rest of the show, we're basically... Well, I mean, if they download it and listen to it anyways, who cares? That's a click right there.
That's a click, and hopefully, yeah. So Captain Marvel is
it's a movie.
It's a movie. It's a movie set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
All right. So Chris, I'm going to preface everything I say with I liked it. It was a fun movie.
Okay.
So I want to know what you have to say.
Because you want to
but like I have
on it for 40.
No, I don't want to dunk on it. Like I don't want to repeat like Jay and Mike too much.
Okay, that's
Red Letter Media.
Okay.
Like there's one thing that Jay said that I think stuck with me, and like that I really agree with.
And did you?
Jay was more critical of it, and Mike liked it more. So.
Did you listen to this before or after you?
After.
Okay, all right, interesting. I mean, I always like to ask that because I
usually watch it before, but Becky doesn't like getting spoiled on stuff. So
yeah.
but it didn't come out till after we had seen it anyways, because we saw it on the night after it opened. So
okay, yeah, I saw it on the Thursday. So the late night, they're not even late night showings anymore. I saw it at 7:00 or 7:30 on.
That is pretty late for me.
Yeah, well, for me, the only thing that so for me, I felt like. You just asked me a really simple question.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. It was, I really wanted to see it a second time, which I do with a lot of these. I usually see it once by myself and see it with the family. And I kind of operated under the assumption I'd see it a second time, and then I didn't. And so as I was sitting there the first time, there were certain things where I was like, oh, that's going to be interesting in a couple of days when I see it again. And then I didn't see it again. And so in terms of my processing it and really thinking about how I felt about it in the broader context of things, I wasn't able to do that as much as I would have liked. But in the moment, it was right in my wheelhouse. I mean, between the 90s music, I thought the cues were really good in terms of the songs that they picked, and the 90s setting. I was really there. I was here for this, as the kids say.
It did feel a little bit shoehorned at the beginning, like when she first arrives.
When she crashes through the
blockbuster.
Yeah, well,
but like it got better. Like it wasn't.
It gets better, and also I would think, I as I said, I will also preface everything that I might say with I really enjoyed it. And I will say that the 90s setting of it feels like something that might have been arrived at later. Later in the conception, because I think a lot of it could have been set anytime. And it happens to be set in the
breakfast, literally anytime.
Pizza on a bagel. Yeah, I don't. I feel like the movie could have been set in any decade, but because they were trying to fit it into a particular place in their shared cinematic universe, they decided to put it in the 90s. So I would not disagree with you that especially at the beginning, it feels kind of shoehorned in. Like, why are
Look, there's the Radio Shack, buddy.
Yeah.
Those aren't around anymore.
Yeah. Well,
people don't have ham radios they need to fix.
I wonder how we're going to feel watching Stranger Things later this summer, because I have heard
that it's even more shoe-horny.
No. But
Shoe-Horny? That's the fucking title, Shoe-Horny.
No, so I don't know how you feel about Stranger Things.
I like it, but like they very ham-fistedly put shit in there, and like it's just like, oh look, they're playing fucking Dragon Slayer. You played that, didn't you, Steve? And I'm like, I did.
I think I have heard that there are scenes that are set in the mall in this upcoming season, and that almost all of the stores in the mall are actually stores that you would have.
Is there a paperback booksmith?
I don't.
Or a Sofro Fabrics?
Beyond what
Bradley's?
Beyond what I just said, I don't know. All I know is that it was a very early interview, and it was talking about, we went out and got the rights to the actual signage from these places, many of which don't exist anymore, so that they could make it feel authentic. I think maybe there's one.
How much does that fucking cost?
Probably not a lot, but they were trying to, they're trying to, from a publicity standpoint, play up the authenticity.
Yeah. Authenticitize it.
Yeah. If I could spell that, it wouldn't be the title, but I'd put it in somewhere. So yeah, I mean, the Blockbuster, the Radio Shack. I suppose if I were viewing it from a different position, a different lens, I might think that some of the song cues felt shoehorned. The fact that it's just a girl when she's kicking ass, like. I think you can look at that two ways. Either you think, yes, that's perfect, or you go, why couldn't they have chose something
like another like rock song
right.
by a female artist while she's kicking ass?
Yes.
Instead of that, which is sort of cliche, maybe.
But it's of the period. It's of the year.
Yeah, but there was plenty of like what was it? The fucking Breeders were
yep.
fucking kicking ass at that point, and some other fucking like. I don't know.
I think there
was plenty of lady artists, and I've turned into Representative Alvin Combs by fucking listing one and then running out. What was it? I was talking about. What was it? Liz Phair earlier. She was a 90s rock.
She was. I was looking for epigraphs for my manuscript, and I don't know if I got any Breeders. I got Liz Phair in there.
You could go. I mean, the Pixies kind of. When did they break up? They were back. There was a dude in the band, but like, right. but there was more than just a dude.
Yeah. Well, and I have realized, not to get us totally sidetracked, but I've realized like more and more Pixie songs that I like are. Is it Kim Deal? No, is it Kim Deal? Why can't I? The woman in the band who occasionally sang, I cannot remember. But "Gigantic" is one of the songs that I didn't come on to didn't discover until later. But yeah, so I mean, I like that it was set in the '90s. I like that they went ahead and did that. I think that maybe they could have done more. Mm-hmm. And
for a time and place kind of thing, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think that they use the technology. They make jokes about the technology here and there.
One of the things that Becky pointed out was that Southern California, Los Angeles in the 90s wasn't the cleanest place in the world.
Yeah. No, I can't imagine that it was. And
it was very clean. Like things were very clean when they were driving around with the fucking train. Like who takes the train in fucking LA too?
Yeah. I don't know. I think I
bet I'll buy they could take the red car for a nickel.
Speaking of, yeah. So let me ask you.
I wanted to make the point that Jay had made that I
is it about the '90s stuff?
No, it wasn't about the '90s stuff. It was more like narratively. I think it would have benefited from a traditional like linear storytelling.
Okay.
Because like anybody that's seen the trailer like is kind of familiar with the fact that this is a spoiler, she's from Earth.
Yes.
She lands there as a space alien,
right? But what is the opening? So there's I mean, I think it was a very, very nice choice to start with the all Stan Lee's cameos over the Marvel logo, which they traditionally do. But what was the opening scene?
It was them like fighting in the Kree something or other, like Kree battle nut job thingamadoo.
Yeah. All
And
right.
anybody that's watched Guardians of the Galaxy know that the Kree are shitheads.
Well, and so that was the interesting thing, that from a fandom perspective, I have found to be really weird over the last few years, when people didn't understand what was going to happen with Infinity War and what was then Infinity War Part 2, and then it didn't have a title, and now it's what's now called Endgame. People were suspecting, as soon as the Skrulls were announced as characters that would be in Captain Marvel, that the Skrulls would be the villains, and that the Skrulls and their secret invasion, which is one of the Marvel Comics storylines, where the Skrulls have taken over the body, not taken over the bodies, but they've taken the place of many prominent superheroes, and it turns out they've been among us for years. People thought that's where it was going, and the whole time I remembered watching fucking Guardians of the Galaxy, like you just said.
Yeah.
And in Guardians of the Galaxy, they made a definite point. And then again in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is only tangentially related to the movies, but they kept doing the Kree are bad. The Kree are bad. And so if the Kree are bad, and you're introducing the Skrulls, it doesn't take that much of a logical leap to go, I'm going to bet
maybe
that
the
Skrulls aren't...
You're going to have a nice heel turn eventually, and then you're like, oh, okay, wait.
Yeah, and I liked...
This is kind of spoiler territory, but I kind of mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, even knowing that, or even suspecting that's how it might go, I still liked narratively how it went, and I liked seeing Ben Mendelsohn in the full Skrull makeup, sitting there sipping the... it wasn't a Kahuna burger, but there were a lot of nods to Sam Jackson...
The man?
To Sam Jackson's oeuvre, let's say. His catalog of movies. I mean, when
Say Skrull again!
when he's in the car with Carol, he's in the position that Jules is in. He's Jules, right? In Pulp Fiction?
Wait, is he Jules, or was
No.
Travolta Jules?
Fuck.
Whatever, who cares?
He's in the driver's seat, as his character in Pulp Fiction is, and Carol is in the position that Travolta's character is in Pulp Fiction. So they have that moment. There is the moment where Mendelsohn walks in, sipping the cup into the Rambeau's Maria and Monica's living room, and he's sitting there sipping a soda in the same way that Sam Jackson sips the soda in Pulp Fiction. I mean, they've already made a joke about Sam Jackson in Pulp Fiction and Nick Fury in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. On Nick Fury's tombstone, it says, "The path of the righteous man" is the inscription.
Well, what Jay said and what I agree with is that like it would have benefited her character development, I think, more if it was narratively more linear.
How so?
Because when they have that sort of montage of her like getting up, like it didn't hit as hard as it could have if those were all separate scenes, one after the other. As she's growing up, you're learning like this is what's going on. She's growing. This is like she's constantly getting like slapped down,
right?
Like, but she keeps on getting back up,
and that.
So
that
instead
would
of
have
putting
been
that in the fucking middle, where we're like, oh, she's like got superpowers, like what?
That would have been a more 90s film structure too, which would go in line with what they said they were trying to do aesthetically, which is they were trying to emulate a 90s movie. And so a 90s movie would have had a 90s blockbuster would have had exactly what you're talking about, a linear narrative that would have had surprises along the way, possibly, but you would have been, yeah, that's a really excellent point.
But yeah, I mean, like I think she would, like, her character development would have benefited by it. I think like it would have just been better because, like,
Yeah.
she shows up, she's got superpowers. You're like, oh, cool, and then halfway through the movie you figure out why, instead of just
Right.
like there's only so many. I think what they were trying to do was we're doing another origin story,
Yeah.
and we want to fucking shake it up and not do another origin story, but like try to mix up the narrative, and it didn't work.
They seem very self-conscious about doing origin stories.
That's why they didn't do it again with fucking Spider-Man.
Right. Well, and Spider-Man, I think they had a good case for it because we'd seen that origin story so many times.
Right.
This one, and I was talking with a former student. He and I were talking over pizza today at lunch, and we're saying, "Fuck, I lost my train of thought."
You and your student.
That my wife and my kids were super excited to see Wonder Woman when it came out. But when I asked them for a couple weeks in advance, do you want me to get tickets for Captain Marvel? They kept saying, I can just wait. And I think that speaks to the fact that nobody knows
who Captain
Marvel is. Back when Geek Force 5 was not a magazine, when it was a pop culture site, I had a guy writing articles for me called the Marvel Mythos and Media series, and he wrote this like 4 or 5 part series on Captain Marvel and her convoluted origin story. And I think, I mean, I still think that moment lands for me, but I see the point that Jay, and that you are making,
fucking Jay Bauman,
and that it would be a very different narrative.
I think it would have just hit a little bit harder, and I think I mean, not that you're gonna be like, oh, I hope that the fucking like douchebag wins.
Yeah.
But like you're gonna. I think you're gonna root for her a little bit more.
Yeah, well, because they're trying to. But what happens?
Then you don't have to have the stupid reveal that like.
Well, but you end up having you miss anything about the Skrulls. You'll know the entire time that the Skrulls aren't the bad guys.
Well, no, I mean, you're going to pick up the story eventually from where it actually starts.
Right, but if you go all the way back to the beginning and you tell it, if you took all of the pieces of the film as it exists, and I know that's not exactly what you and Jay are saying, in your world probably there's an entirely different cut of the film with slightly different scenes. But if you took just what's on screen and rearranged it chronologically, you would see
just Sam Jackson's butt. That's the Steve cut.
No, but I think you would see something about the Skrulls in either the like opening minute of the film or
no, not when she's a kid.
Well, so you'd see when she's a kid, but within the first 15 minutes of the film, you would know that the Skrulls are not the bad guys. That the Kree are actually the bad guys, and the Kree abduct her, right? Because you'll see that the Kree abduct her when the thing that they wanted gets blown up.
So maybe you have that like whatever, like that there's someone chasing her. Right. And not necessarily you don't know if it's the Kree or the Skrull or whatever. Right. Someone's chasing her, and you leave the part out, and then you just have what's his butt?
Dumbledore.
Yeah.
What the fuck is his name?
Yumbledore.
Yumbledore. Yeah.
You have him show up and be like, "Oh, she's hurt. Let's go take her back or whatever." Right, and then then you're like, "Oh, so okay, well maybe he's saving her." And then
you don't do it exactly chronologically,
right? Then you can reveal the parts of that are missing from the narrative.
Got it. All right. I'm sure they thought about it. And they made a different decision. I mean, when you listen to the way that this particular studio,
it's in the way that you no, I'm fucking ripping off Dan Harmon.
But when you listen to the way that this studio thinks through things, I don't know if I read it or was listening to it, an interview with Kevin Feige, who's the executive producer.
It's not Paul Feig, is it?
No. And Feige, he talks about when they were planning out Infinity War, they had basically a trading card sized. I think he even calls them trading cards for each character in the entire every character that they'd introduced in all of the movies. And they went through iteration after iteration of who's going to get dusted, who's going to be in scene after scene, and they work that shit. And so I've got to believe, even though it's not the exact same creative team on Captain Marvel, different writer director, I got to believe that they went through and they decided, let's do it this way. Is it the right aesthetic choice? Who knows? You guys obviously think.
I didn't dislike it. I just thought I think it would have been better.
So what else is there to say about it?
It's I'm trying to not say the exact same things that they say, but it's hard not to because I agree with them. Like it's
new to me. So I mean, I haven't listened to it.
It's not
so.
new to Becky though.
Okay. Right.
I feel bad that she has to listen to this again, regurgitated in a worse way by me.
Well, then she gets to hear my reaction. I'm the color here.
It's weird, like because like she's going to be a primary focus in the next movie, and it's weird, like because like
I don't think she is, but.
You don't?
No,
okay.
Not at all. But go ahead. I'll give my
because there's all these other characters that we've have been developed over the years in this cinematic universe,
right?
And then she's just like, oh, I'm the superpowered one that's going to show up like Superman at the very end.
Yeah. Well, so. And I can't cite the specific sources. What a bad academic I am. But. I had this same conversation with my friend this afternoon. The Russos, who are the directors of Endgame and directors of Infinity War, and Marcus and McFeely, who were the writers on a bunch of Marvel films, including all of the ones that the Russo brothers have done, they are very big on. They'll introduce new people, but those new people are not going to supplant. The characters we care about, and I think you can point specifically to Civil War as an example of that. They'll introduce Black Panther and they'll introduce Spider-Man as ways to complicate the lives of the characters that we care about. But Spider-Man and Black Panther are not going to solve the problems in that movie.
Yeah, I mean,
and so
it's hard for a teenage, boy just out of high school. Well, he's still in high school.
Still in high school.
How is he going to fucking solve the problems of a fucking superhero civil war?
Right.
I mean, he doesn't need it.
But not even Black Panther doesn't. Black Panther has a good arc in that movie, but he is not the one that solves the central problem of the movie. And so I think they have said that Carol is not going to, Captain Marvel is not going to solve the problem. She is not a character that we've spent 12, 13 films on. She's a character we've spent one film on.
So maybe she has a tertiary role.
I think she'll be in there, but they have to find some way, and I trust that they will, to get her out of play.
So they're gonna Luffy her. I said Luffy.
I know, but I got to drink.
So in One Piece, Luffy has been stuck between buildings. He has been stuck
by his straw hat.
No, he because he's a rubber person, so he just got launched by a really powerful villain, and he got stuck in between two buildings.
Okay.
In Water 7, he got stuck in a snake in Skypiea because they need the villain or whatever the fuck is happening.
Yeah.
To be able to. But under that logic, she's the one that's going to take out Thanos.
Right. I see. I mean, I could conjecture. I'm not even sure.
Conject.
Yeah. I can imagine either one of two scenarios. Either she's there towards the beginning and she tries to take him out in some way similar to Thor and gets sidelined for the rest of the movie. We don't see her until maybe the very end when they're introducing the new Avengers or whatever they might call it, assuming that even happens. The other thing that I can see is that she goes off to to stop Thanos, and they become embroiled in something that basically just keeps Thanos busy, while the Avengers have to go do something that they couldn't possibly do if Thanos was on their tail. Because you got to bring Black Panther back. You got to bring Spider-Man back. You got to do something ridiculous to bring all these characters back that have more movies. Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and Black Panther are not dead. Like, there's no way that they're staying dead. So they have
sorry, Chris. Spider-Man Homecoming happened to be before this shit. Or not Homecoming.
Far From Home.
Far From Home. There we go. With Rey Mysterio.
I'm interested to see whether or not they pull the Skrull thing with Mysterio, because is Mysterio not going to be the villain? I mean, it so seems like Mysterio is being set up to be like the Syndrome of Far From Home. Syndrome being the villain in The Incredibles.
Are you saying that for me or for the
whoever, the listener out there who might not know?
That he's a fan of superheroes,
and he invents his own villain to become a superhero. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Captain Marvel will not play as big a role in Endgame as you might think.
Okay. Well, I mean, I hope she has some sort of role. I mean, that would be cool. But I want the majority of the story to be the left behinds.
My guess would be that it would be something similar to Black Panther in Infinity War, because the movies. So Black Panther came out in February of 2018. And then Black Panther was there again in Infinity War, and Wakanda played a big part in it. I could see Carol being a similar thing, where she's a very important part of the story, but she's not, yeah.
She's back.
But honestly,
she's back in the 90s.
He's heading for the wild. No, she's heading for the something east. Because if she's going back in time, you got to get back in time.
Yes.
You gotta get back in time.
All right, are we done?
I think we're done. So that was.
So it was a good movie.
47 minutes or so.
That was most of the fucking show.
Yeah. Well, because I'll have to add in our
it was good. It was if you're expecting fucking high cinema, then you're going to be disappointed. But if you're expecting a popcorn superhero movie, then cool, it is exactly that.
I am very much looking forward to what the podcast I listened to, Do by Friday. Max on that show is a notorious superhero film downer. He doesn't hate them, but he doesn't have a lot of respect for them. But apparently, he really loved Captain Marvel and wanted to get the other two who hadn't seen it to see it for this week's show. So I'll be curious.
You know what we should do? We should listen to their show and then comment about what they're saying on their show about Captain Marvel, a movie we just talked about for 25 minutes.
No, we should not do that.
Oh, okay, never mind.
But I thought the one thing he did say about it, because his two co-hosts had not seen it, was that he was in the theater and he said, "Wow, this is one of the best looking movies I've seen in a really long time. It looks so crisp and sharp." And he turned to his wife,
just like L.A. in the 90s.
And he turned to his wife and said that, and his wife said, "That may be because you remembered to wear your glasses this time." So he usually forgets to wear his glasses, and yeah.
As a nearsighted person. I cannot see anything without my glasses.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how he
I don't know how people that wear glasses forget them.
Yeah, glasses. Glasses are cute, right? People like people with glasses.
I mean, people like me, obviously.
I never wore glasses. And I have occasionally thought, well, I would when I was playing the character of Michael Silver from my books in the staged version of my books, I put glasses on to make myself feel more like Michael.
Did people like your character more because you had glasses on?
No, he's kind of a schmuck in that play.
Like the movie Dinner for Schmucks.
just like that.
Yes, that was a really good one.
Was it? I don't know.
Oh, it was not.
I was on vacation this week, and
And you watched Dinner for Schmucks?
I did not, but my intent had been to spend some of every afternoon watching a movie, and I only ended up doing that on 3 out of the 8 or 9 days.
So did you watch the same movies you always watch, or did you watch something new?
I was trying to go through my my Netflix queue, and so I watched. I had a bunch of sexy time movies in there, not like. Well, it turned out yes, but that I'd put in there so that I could sort of. I'd done this this search. I asked people, I was like, give me some movies that are
sexy time.
Yeah, because I was writing a lot about sex in the book, and I wanted to, but I didn't watch any of them while I was writing this draft because I didn't have any time. So I was looking at some of these, and I forget the first two. One of them was I forget. But the last one, second to last one, I don't know, that I watched might as well have it is essentially an X-rated film that is on Netflix. Like, I could not believe I had read about it, and I said, "Oh, it sounds like it's explicit.
It sounds like I got a boner."
The opening scene is the two people. What the hell is it called? I don't know. The opening scene is
the bonerific adventures of
no. But I guess there had been
in the soppingly wet labia land.
There had been a film at I was going to say Suncoast.
Yeah. Motion Picture Company. That's where you buy your movies.
No,
that's where I got my Ranma tapes.
Where do they do the Palme d'Or? That Palme d'Or, the French festival of films?
Cannes?
Yeah, there had been one the previous year to this movie. Blue, I think it's Blue is the Warmest Color, where it's very explicit scenes between two women. And so this movie was going to be very explicit scenes between everybody, but mostly between a man and a woman. And it was shot in 3D. And I guess one of the scenes in the movie is and of course I was just watching it on Netflix, is a 3D shot of a cum shot.
What?
This is on Netflix, and it's like I had heard something.
Are you blowing up Netflix's spot?
I was like, I heard it was explicit, but the opening.
Did you have 3D glasses?
I did not. Oh. But the opening fucking scene is the two of them naked, and he is fingering her, and she is jerking him off, and then she is actually giving him oral sex, and then he comes on camera on a movie that's on Netflix. Like, I was like, how is this? I don't know.
But I'm glad. Like, hopefully your daughters don't stumble into your queue.
Oh my God, I actually should go in and erase that from my history. It was not a terrible film. It was also not a great film. But it did use, and I think this was the director's intent. It used sex and sexuality to talk about character. Oh, it's called Love. It's called Love.
Like the show Love?
Gaspar Noé's Love.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he wanted to make a film. I read a little bit afterwards. He wanted to make a film where love with sexuality and sex was explored just as meaningfully as love. I think he is probably 85 to 90% successful, aesthetically speaking. But did he need to film a 3D cum shot? Probably not.
No, but that, I mean, since there aren't porno theaters anymore, I don't imagine you can do something like that unless you're making an art film.
That was, and I guess he had spent years trying to get it together, and eventually it had Monica Bellucci attached at some point.
I don't know who that is.
She's the Merovingians in The Matrix 2, the second one, I
watched that fucking movie on repeat.
She's been in a bunch of things. She is an attractive woman who is not averse to appearing nude in films, but she was not going to do the explicit sex that he
She was
wanted.
not gonna die.
Yeah. And so eventually, I guess he found two French actresses who were willing to do it. And
The French.
And some random American dude who he'd heard through a friend of a friend had a very big penis. And
cummed buckets.
I guess so. Yeah, and I guess it
3D cum
yeah,
buckets.
it was a very strange. I watched the other ones I watched were Sleeping with Other People, which was Jason
Statham?
Sudeikis, maybe.
So the guy from Saturday Night Live.
Maybe, I don't know. And I watched one with Ryan Reynolds.
What was that?
Oh, maybe
one called?
that one. I don't think that one was part of my week. I think maybe I watched that one with the whole family. We watched. Yes, we watched the whole family.
Watched a
couple
sex
weekends.
comedy?
No, it was Ryan Reynolds, and he's telling the story to his daughter of who her mom is, but not because they're about to get divorced, and she's sad, and she's like, "Tell me the story," and he's like, "I'll tell you the story, but I'm not going to tell you which of these women." It is, and it was really charming. It was a good. I don't like romantic comedies, but it was a good romantic.
It's a rom-com. Look at that.
Rom-com. I don't think they make that many of those, but they did.
They make plenty of those, Chris.
Good ones. I don't think they make good romantic comedies.
Everyone says Love Actually is one of the best.
Not everyone. I am one of those. I like it, but there are people who hate Love Actually.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I like his. I don't know if it's the same filmmaker or it's a part of the filmmaking team. About Time is like came out after Love Actually.
Is it like a spice movie?
No, it's a time travel.
I was hoping it was going to be like about time with a
it's
Y.
Got Bill. Is it Bill Nighy?
The science guy?
No, Bill Nighy and General Hux is in it.
Oh,
but he's good. He's good. And Doctor Strange's girlfriend, who wears.
She is more than just a girlfriend,
but
Chris.
What's her name?
I don't know.
She's fantastic, and that's what I'm remembering. And she's from Mean Girls. And Rachel McAdams.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's who it is. And she is really good in that picture as well, which I had to revisit a little bit because I was trying to find a particular quote from it to use as an epigram in my.
You should use it as an epiphone too.
Epiphone.
EpiPen?
Ooh, I don't want to use it as that. No.
What if you're going into anaphylactic shock?
Well, I don't think a quote is going to help me if I'm going into anaphylactic shock.
No, but an EpiPen will.
But an EpiPen might, or the penis of that guy from Gasper Knows Love. I mean, it seemed like his cum could work wonders. He kind of got anybody he wanted to in that film.
Okay.
I mean, except he didn't, because it's really sad at the end, but because it's an art film.
Oh.
It's an art film where you see a lot of people having sex, and at the very end,
and at the very end, his dick
really fucking sad.
At the very end, his dick explodes.
No, his dick doesn't explode. But I think I mean, are you ever going to watch it? I can spoil it.
Yeah, you could spoil it for me. I don't think
the woman.
I don't think anybody that in the listening audience right now would be able to watch it without having somebody come in and being like, "Why are you watching porn?"
I had to turn it. I mean, I don't know if my dad was still downstairs or not, but because he drives a bus, so he's home in the middle of the day. I think I waited until he wasn't there, but I still kept the volume down because I was like, I don't know if somebody's gonna come home. It was like the old days of trying to watch a little bit of naughty stuff between when I got home and when the parents got home, or when John got home, or whatever. Yeah,
like John would have gotten home before you. Folks.
So how the hell did I ever do that?
I thought you didn't do that.
Let's abandon pretense here, Steve. That's an old bit. Like I've just been talking about watching a Netflix movie that's essentially it's all for my research.
Okay.
Except there's only one there. Yeah, there's only one scene on an adult film set in the novel. So
okay.
Yeah. There's more scenes at the strip club. Which, speaking of, if there's anybody out there.
Oh.
If there is anybody out there who, I can't believe that there would be, who is a stripper or knows a stripper who would be
Or
willing,
fell in love with the stripper.
who would be willing to. I'm looking for a stripper who would be willing to read a manuscript between now and the end of April to call me on any dumb shit I might have put in there that isn't realistic. If you know anybody, or if you have anything else to say about the show.
Oh, wow. Is it already over?
It's over.
Wow. It's over.
Well, I mean, we could keep going if you want to talk about anything. We got pinball. We got my week off. We got my daughter turning into a teenager.
We could talk about that next week.
All right. Well,
your daughter's still going to be a teenager.
Yes.
I don't know if people like hearing me talk about pinball.
Well, if you want to hear Steve talk about pinball next week, you got to send an email.
All right.
Hot at Clark.
Because I'm going to, spoilers.
Oh, boy.
I was in a tournament and did not win, and I was knocked out in the first round by a very young man.
Young man.
There's no need to feel down.
To say young man.
If you're in a new town.
Go there.
Okay.
I don't know.
How do you email us?
How do you email us? hot@clarkwoods.com is the email address.
Send it, put a nice subject heading like
I am a stripper and I would like to read your book.
Or cash windfall. I'm a prince from some weird country.
I opened those first.
Oh, okay, good.